Well, in other news making headlines, let's turn our attention to Ethiopia now, where the country has defended its controversial deal with the breakaway coastal region of Somaliland, despite Somalia accusing Addis Ababa of blatant attack on its sovereignty. Ethiopia insists that it broke no laws, adding that other countries had done deals with Somaliland in the past. Somaliland broke away and declared its independence from Somalia in 1991, a move not recognized internationally and opposed by Mogadishu. The Somali federal government says the agreement signed in Addis Ababa could destabilize the Horn of Africa region. The deal grants landlocked Ethiopia a 50-year lease to naval and commercial Red Sea access. In exchange, Somaliland's President Musa Bihi Abdi says Ethiopia would formally recognize Somaliland in due course. However, the Ethiopian government has not confirmed this claim. In Mogadishu, hundreds of people joined a demonstration to denounce the pact. The deal was signed just days after Somalia and Somaliland agreed to resume dialogue after decades of stalemate. Meanwhile, the chairman of the African Union Commission has called for calm and mutual respect over the dispute. Musa Faki Mohammed urged the two countries to respect each other's territorial integrity and sovereignty and called for peaceful negotiations. The executive secretary of the Regional Intergovernmental Authority on Development has also expressed concern about the dispute potential implications on regional stability. All right, let's get more on this story. We have Gurum Chala live for us in Addis Ababa. Gurum, welcome to the program. Thank you for joining us here on Africa Live. Gurum, Ethiopia has once again insisted the deal with Somaliland hurts no one, yet is coming under increasing international pressure, including from the AU, IGAD, EU, and the U.S. What's the latest response from Addis Ababa to this criticism?
Richard, we spoke to one of Ethiopia's top ministers in the country, and he gave us an answer, and I quote, he said, whatever Ethiopia decided to agree with Somaliland is not unprecedented. He said it has been done before and will continue strengthening the deal, the letter and spirit of it, he said. He also said that with 110 million people, a business agreement like this should be implemented because Ethiopia cannot continue spending a lot of money for port access or even jeopardize its national security and the sovereignty of the state at the same time. So in general terms, Richard, what they are saying in Addis Ababa is that what Ethiopia is doing is something that other countries have done before, even in Somaliland, let alone in the region. Perhaps he's referring to the 2016-2018 deal between the United Arab Emirates and Somaliland to develop the Berbera port through DP World, if you like. In that, by the way, Ethiopia has a stake of about 19% since 2018. Now, if this is the case, Ethiopian authorities argue that what is the problem with Ethiopia developing more port access working with the Somalilanders themselves. So in general terms, Ethiopia continues to argue that this is a purely business agreement. It has got nothing to do with breaching a sovereignty of any country. Rather, it's going to strengthen the cooperation and people-to-people relationship, even let alone the economic relationship between Ethiopia and Somaliland, Somalia, and the region at large.
All right, Gurum, speaking of economic relationship, Gurum, Ethiopia has largely depended on ports in neighboring Djibouti for its international trade. How does the Somaliland deal affect the arrangement with Djibouti?
So, Djibouti, Richard, remains to be a most important neighbor and ally to Ethiopia. As you've said, it's one port that Ethiopia uses for its import and export businesses, and it's still going to continue because Ethiopia is a large country with a growing economy. It still needs it, and even if this deal between Ethiopia and Somaliland works, it's not going to be a work that's going to be finished for a port to be prepared for Ethiopia's business activity. So Djibouti, for a longer time, continues to be Ethiopia's partners. Now, the other thing is you should understand that with the expansion of Ethiopia, with the inclusion of the country in the BRICS bloc and others, Ethiopia still continues to be desiring the cooperation of countries like Djibouti and others at the same time. So many tell you that this new deal has got nothing to do with canceling entirely of the relationship between Ethiopia and Djibouti. Rather, it strengthens what Ethiopia is doing at the moment. They say is diversifying its port access. It even looks forward to working with countries like Kenya, using their ports so that the cooperation between Ethiopia and other neighboring countries will be strengthened. As we've said, there is a roar between by Somalis, the government itself, and others are also condemning it. But at the same time, the belief from the Ethiopia side remains to be strong, and they want to continue working with Somaliland. And the Somaliland government is also continuing to say that this is a deal that we want to implement as soon as possible.